Ukrainian Member of Parliament Andrei Derkach just released a new statement related to Joe Biden's corruption in Ukraine, explaining how U.S. Department of State Representative George Kent contributed to the embezzlement of U.S. taxpayers' money through a shell company. This Ukrainian MP's new statement gives more info on a scheme run by Joe Biden with the help of George Kent to establish total control over the oil and gas production industry of Ukraine. George Kent, of course, was one of Adam Schiff's impeachment witnesses, which he used against President Trump. A new press release from the Ukrainian news agency reacting to the MP's statement. Ukrainian MP Andrei Derkach appealed to the Prosecutor General's office with a statement outlining the facts of fraudulent use of financial assistance provided by the USA involving George Kent, the former chargé d'affaires of the USA in Ukraine. A scanned copy of the statement is published on the MP's Facebook page. You can see he's attached the documents on this Facebook post from this morning, along with this message that translates to made a statement to the Office of the Prosecutor General to post the facts of the fraud development of U.S. funds and assistance. According to Derkach, George Kent actually impeded the legitimate efforts of Ukrainian law enforcement agencies to investigate the embezzlement of American taxpayers' money. As evidence, Derkach cites a letter from George Kent to the Prosecutor General's office in which he directly points out the inappropriateness of the investigation regarding the assistance received from the United States under the Support to the Criminal Justice Reform in Ukraine program. Here's another translated quote from the Ukrainian MP. He said, with this letter, George Kent, in fact, covers the scheme of embezzlement of U.S. taxpayers' money and illegally interferes with the activities of the law enforcement agency of Ukraine. And given that George Kent is now an officer of the U.S. Department of State and IDLO still performs the function of dispersing the U.S. funds, there is a reason to believe that George Kent is actively contributing to the continued illegal misuse and money laundering through IDLO and Symmetrics Ukraine. Moreover, according to Derkach's information, part of the data related to the illegal, in his opinion, disbursement of funds with the help of Symmetrics Ukraine was destroyed intentionally. Quote, 449 kilograms of materials related to attestation of prosecutors and investigators of the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine has been destroyed on behalf of the Prosecutor General's Office of Ukraine. Symmetrics Ukraine was the actual executor of attestation. This company has not conducted any activities earlier and has never submitted tax reports. Moreover, during attestation in October of 2019, the company changed its owner. Instead of psychologists' husband and wife who founded this company, the person whose main activity is non-store retailing became the owner. Based on the foregoing, the member of the parliament claims that there is every reason to consider Symmetrics Ukraine a firm created for a single purpose: withdrawal of U.S. financial and technical assistance funds. Later on in the statement, Derkach also notes that George Kent synchronized his actions with U.S. Vice President Joseph Biden, aimed to pressure former Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin and his further resignation. Thus, according to Derkach, they wanted to prevent the investigation of the theft of American taxpayers' money, as well as the investigation of the Burisma case, where Joseph Biden's son held a senior position. The member of the parliament emphasizes that Joseph Biden, with the help of George Kent, tried to establish total control over the oil and gas production industry of Ukraine. Another translated quote from the MP's statement reads, regarding George Kent's motives, investigative journalists have every reason to believe that the main one is that George Kent, while holding the position of chargé d'affaires of the USA in Ukraine, personally promoted the initiatives and actions of Joe Biden and so-called representatives of demo corruption, as well as the laundering and misappropriation of U.S. taxpayers' money received by Ukraine in the form of financial and technical assistance. Derkach also calls for the U.S. Department of Justice to help in the investigation of the facts outlined in his statement, adding, quote, given that the funds dispersed through the criminal scheme are U.S. taxpayers' money, I ask within the framework of international cooperation to apply to the U.S. Department of Justice with a request to review the actions of George Kent and the unidentified officials of the law enforcement section at U.S. Embassy in Ukraine responsible for the implementation of the support to the criminal justice reform in Ukraine program and disbursement of financial and technical assistance funds. Meanwhile, in the U.S., Senate Republicans are now saying that they are preparing to release a status report on the investigation into Joe Biden's son, Hunter Biden, over his business in Ukraine, though they claim that the committee's efforts have been hampered by the ongoing global health crisis. Again, interesting how in this new statement, Derkach calls out George Kent over his role in helping Joe Biden's plot to force the resignation of former Prosecutor General Viktor Shokin. I've mentioned in recent videos how earlier this year, Greek law enforcement started investigating an attempted mercury poisoning against Viktor Shokin. Shokin himself has suggested that Joe Biden may have been behind the attempt. In a new interview, U.S. Senator Ron Johnson just revealed that the Hunter Biden Burisma report will go public sometime this summer. He added that his staff is combing over State Department documents and records from the Obama White House provided by the National Archives. Johnson's probe, which has been sidelined since last month, is examining how DC-based consulting firm Blue Star Strategies attempted to, quote, leverage Hunter Biden's role as a board member of Burisma to gain access to and potentially influence matters at the State Department regarding investigations into Burisma, the Ukrainian gas company whose board Hunter Biden sat on. Last month, President Trump said that Johnson's probe will be a major issue in the campaign if Joe Biden becomes the Democrat nominee. He said, quote, I will bring that up all the time because I don't see any way out for them. I don't see how they can answer those questions. I hope they can. I'd actually prefer it that they can't, but I don't believe that they will be able to answer those questions. That was purely corrupt, President Trump said. A Politico article from earlier this month describes some of the other issues that are now impacting the investigation. For example, senators are unable to review sensitive documents, many of which are permanently housed in the Senate's classified facilities, or receive defensive briefings that the committee's top Democrat, Senator Gary Peters of Michigan, has demanded. And committee members have yet to vote on a subpoena targeting the public relations firm which did consulting work for Burisma, Blue Star Strategies, indefinitely delaying lawmakers' ability to obtain documents viewed as important to the investigation. So it's a pretty shocking development that, as of right now, it looks like Joe Biden will be the Democrats' nominee. For many weeks, people have been wondering why it took so long for Obama to endorse Biden. This finally happened today. Obama endorsed Biden for president, claiming that he's the right person to, quote, guide us through one of our darkest times. Also, as we've recently looked at here, Joe and Hunter are not the only members of the Biden family related to big corruption investigations. James Biden, Joe's brother, was tied to a recent FBI raid we covered in a previous video. New update earlier this month as Pennsylvania officials are seeking access to critical medical supplies and equipment from the abandoned rural hospital at the center of the fraud scandal involving Joe Biden's brother, James Biden. Please leave a comment and tell me what you think about this latest update. If you could give this video a thumbs up, click the like button, that's greatly appreciated, and make sure that you're subscribed to the channel. Just another backup where you can follow me for more updates. I am on Twitter, Reality Reader, my name over on Twitter. I'd like to once again thank everybody that has supported this channel so far, either at patreon.com/realityreader or paypal.me/realityreader. Even a few dollars makes a huge difference, helps me keep talking about these issues. Both links down in the video description. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.